Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at the Legends class, Megatron from the Transformers Reveal the Shield line. Now, for whatever reason, this line slash wave of Legends figures never really hit my area. I did see some of the other Reveal the Shield stuff in stores, but, not just this size, which was unfortunate because I really wanted to pick up Megatron and Starscream, but as luck would have it, for whatever reason, Marshall's picked it up. So yeah, normal retailers never carried it, but sometime later Marshall's gets it. Do end up saving $1 that way, but the only downside is you'll notice that the little shield icon doesn't look like it's stuck quite right, and with my luck, next time I probably go there they will have one without that defect, but I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm gonna open this up and we're gonna have a closer look. And here we have Megatron out of package. By the way, I will be doing the transformation for this guy. Don't usually do that just because I'm not really great at them, but you know what? His transformation is pretty quick and painless, like a proverbial bullet to the brain, so we'll be going ahead with that. But of course, first I'll just say a few words about both modes individually. Robot mode wise, you don't get a ton of detail on these just because it's a smaller scale, a bit cheaper price point. Actually, probably we'll talk a bit more about the price point later, but you'll notice there's really no paint variation, not a lot of paint effects here. It's just mostly solid colors and everything. Down to his obnoxious little orange plastic piece here. It's not even painted. I believe it's just a extra piece they stuck on. It's hard to tell though. Other than that, pretty decent looking. I do sort of like the look of these smaller figures. It's just got something of a cleaner aesthetic to it. Now, as previously mentioned, the little shield thing here wasn't set properly. It's kind of crooked, somewhat annoying. But if you just apply a little bit of pressure here, you will see that Megatron happens to be a Decepticon. Who would have thunk it? It's actually a gimmick that a few people have occasionally complained about. I don't really have any strong feelings either way, but other than the fact that eventually the sort of effect will fade and will either be constantly displayed or just blacked out. In terms of articulation, really don't have a ton. The head has no side motion, it's just got forward and back due to the transformation. So we can look down a little bit, not much. At the arms, we just have a point here at the shoulders. It's on a physical ball with a little additional point here. Pin joint holding the other part in place, so has a kind of outward motion in addition to the forward back. A bit extra on the right arm just because the transformation is supposed to pull out a bit further. So we can have a kind of detached arm here, or detached shoulder. And it can look kind of funky if you don't have it set right. And will pop out during transformation if you don't do that properly. No movement at the waist. Down here at the hips we have a physical ball again. But we only really have forward and back motion. It doesn't really go out to the side all that much. Just maybe like a little 45 degrees or whatever. If it goes any further, the leg will physically detach. But it pops right back on, so it's not a big issue. So I guess you can kind of get a good range of motion there. We have a ball joint here at the knee. Much better range of motion. Full spin effect. Forward, back, and everything, and that's where a lot of your actual posing will come in. Of course, no matter what, you won't be able to get a lot of posing out of this guy just because he also has no movement at the feet or anything, and the arms don't have any forward motion, so the best his blasting will be is straightforward. Onto the robot mode, onto the alternate mode. Now, much like the original Megatron release, the alternate mode here is actually just a weapon. I mean, back then, I guess when it transformed, it went from a tiny gun to a gigantic robot. I guess the rest of his body must have been stored in hammer space or whatever. Kind of goofy, but, you know. Now, the important thing to note here is that this is a blaster. It's not a gun, it is a blaster. Why? Because guns make mommies nervous. I don't believe I had the original Megatron for that very reason. I know I had a lot of G1 stuff, I just can't remember everything I had, I just don't recall ever getting the Megatron, and, you know, that would probably have been the reason. As silly and stupid as it was, so. But saying this is a blaster, it's okay, because it doesn't shoot bullets. Bullets are scary. But yeah, you know, in terms of just an overall look, I mean, ignoring the really silly orange cap here, which demonstrates that this little tiny thing isn't a real gun, as other people have humorously mocked as well. You know, it's actually a decent looking weapon. Well, it's not really so much a weapon, but I mean, the effects and everything in terms of paint looks a lot cleaner. It reminds me of the old Nintendo zappers that you would have had with the NES, with your Duck Hunt and what have you. So, very neat. Definitely a cool feature. I guess let's start the transformation. Transforming Megatron is just a really easy 6 steps in reverse here. I guess I'll start with this mode because it's currently out, but you just pop this portion. You separate the legs, or the handle becomes the legs there. This part's pulled out a bit to get the arm free. This snaps into this for the pistol portion. The entire, well, first you want to just pop the head out because it's a little bit easier. Then if you watch this one portion here, the entire thing just slides over. And then this part pops up, and if you've done it right, the arm won't pop off the socket, and here you have Megatron as robot mode again. Now transform him back to his gun. If you want to transform him back to his gun. Looks pretty cool as is. Again, arm goes out to the side. This part goes down. Head pops down. Push down, so this slides in. The fist has to lock into place underneath the torso here. Fortunately, it can be a little tricky. Then sort of has to just goof around with it and get the weapon straight at the end. That pops forward, and then you just twist the legs around and they slide in. I mean, technically you can probably do the handle portion first, which I actually usually do, but it's just a little bit trickier getting the other portion around. And you have a German blaster Luger. Not to be confused with a German Luger, which this suspiciously resembles. You will notice that there's this big gap here, which is kind of hokey, but it's actually how it's supposed to look. I guess it's just to make it look less gunny or something, maybe. I don't know, but this has been a look at the Legends class Megatron from the Reveal the Shield line. Now, also, I guess just the whole price point issue. For $4, I mean, it just doesn't seem like that great of a value. I mean, it's actually even more if you'd bought it from normal retailers, I believe, like 5 or 6. Especially considering the fact that your full size, or the deluxes, I can't remember the names for these, are only like $10 to $12. Now, humorously enough, at Marshall's, they had the Legends class for $4. Then I believe the one size up was 5 or 6. I forget what the slightly larger ones are, but then they had their normal like full size ones, the deluxes, for like $7. So kind of messed up. I did actually pick up the Flame Burst or whatever Optimus, which I believe was the only one they had, but you know, if they do have other ones for the larger ones, and assuming I can get everything done with the Flame Burst Optimus Prime, probably will pick more of those up. And of course, I'll be on the lookout if the Starscream ever comes in. But this has been a look at Megatron. Pretty much like this one, it's kind of retro-y and everything. Really neat, and both modes are kind of cool. Not sure which one I'd probably display him with, or where I'd be able to find a holster small enough for this little gun here. And of course, whether or not I'd be able to rob a convenience store with this. But until next time, folks. By the way, if they'd given this guy waist movement, he would have been an automatic 10 out of 10, because then you'd have a walking gun, which would be so freaking cool.